Welcome back to the channel. Back at it again. It's Opex. You're tuned in to the Mind of Opex. We have another video for you again today. Have a sip of my coffee. We're gonna dive into it. Beautiful day. Couldn't be more perfect. 80 degrees down here in Mississippi. Of course, it's early morning still. It's gonna get hotter. Going to Oklahoma City, and of course, there's gonna be a huge storm when I get there. As soon as I get there, there's gonna be a huge amount of tornadoes and fun to look forward to. I'm looking forward to it. Are you? Cue no intro. Let's dive into it. So, I want to talk about a few things here. Let me start off by saying this actually. Before I turned on this video, I was thinking in my head, for some strange reason, the eye colors of my previous girlfriends. All of them. Since I started dating at, 16 years old. I understand what's going on now a little bit more clearer just by thinking about that. And I've always known this kind of thing, but let me just describe it to you real quick. As I was looking back in the past and I was looking at all my girlfriends, not just girls I fucked, all my girlfriends that I've ever had, they generally, almost all of them, have blue eyes. And I thought to myself, that's kind of weird. Yes, there were most certainly exceptions, but if you look at the majority of America, the majority of Americans have brown eyes. Just the mass majority. Why am I dating mostly blue-eyed women? And I kept thinking about it. So my first 4 out of 5 girlfriends I had were all, I was a teenager at the time, and they were all Spanish. Then I started thinking about being an adult, and I stopped dating Spanish girls, which had brown eyes. And only one of those teenage girls that I dated as a teenager had blue eyes. But ever since then, I realized predominantly all blue eyes, like to the 98th percentile. All my ex-girlfriends had blue eyes. And I just keep, it threw me as a shock. It threw me in a loop. Like, why? I don't consciously go after blue-eyed women, right? Like, I don't do that. I don't go like, oh, I'm sorry, hon, I prefer blue eyes. I've never done that. So why am I'm just gonna put it like this, subconsciously going after blue eyes? Now, there's one idea. One idea would be that women pick their mate, right? So these blue-eyed women may have a thing for blue-eyed men. I don't know. But the more I dove into it, the more I started to think, well, blue-eyed women going after blue-eyed men may be a thing because maybe their dad had blue eyes and they really loved and respected their dad. Not to keep it in the genes, like, that's weird. But we ultimately do this and we don't even realize it. That we are going after likable, like-minded, physical featured people. And this goes more than just like a mate. See, we all subconsciously do this. I didn't consciously go, I need to date blue-eyed women. Never occurred to me. I dated blondes with blue eyes, brunettes with blue eyes. I don't know why, but maybe I'm attracted to blue eyes. Never looked up a porn search, blue-eyed women. Never happened. So now I'm starting to think, am I attracted more to blue-eyed women? And the more I looked into it, the more I realized I'm confused. Am I actually more attracted to blue-eyed women, or is it because maybe... So, my biological mom has blue eyes. I was raised by a woman that is my mom. She died. That raised me, that was not biologically my mother. She adopted me when I was 6 months old. And she had blue eyes. And then I started to think about that as well. It's like, is it a motherly characteristic? Am I trying to... Because who I've had sex with were not predominantly blue-eyed. But the women that I was dating longer term always had blue eye, pretty damn much. Except for when I was a teenager, when it was predominantly Hispanic Latinas. Which I don't know why that was the case. Maybe it was because that's when Eminem became famous, and a lot of my Hispanic girlfriends thought I looked a lot like Eminem. Maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. Again, I'm trying to figure this out using thought, using philosophy. But the more I go down this rabbit hole, the more I realize we all do this. Yes, are there people with their own fetishes? Okay, I'm a white dude, but I only like Asian girls. Well, not only, but no guy only likes a certain race of women, right? But could there be like a white guy that only predominantly has a fetish towards Asian chicks, so that's all he goes for? Sure, yeah, happens all the time. Black guy with the white girl, happens all the time. The point is that with fetishes excluded, what we default to is comfort. You see a physical person like yourself, same culture, same ideas, and this goes back to tribal days, right? Like, this person looks different than me, they're from another tribe, danger, rape, murder, etc., right? Almost like enemy. This person's an enemy. And of course, there are people that feel this today. We still have those tribal characteristics today. That's like, I don't know who this person is. I mean, in America, it's different. We're a cesspool. We're a melting pot. We're multicultural, right? But if you are, let's say, from another country that's predominantly that country, like, we can dive into China, right? The majority of Chinese people look Chinese, right? So as soon as they see a Korean, they can point them out and be like, whoa! Some primal DNA goes, I don't like this motherfucker. I don't know why that is, except for once upon a time we were all clashing. There was war over territory, women, etc. And that primal DNA, that memory DNA, still surfaces today. And we can dive into racism, but I think racism is more experience than just in our DNA. I think it's something that, okay, your father says, I don't like Mexicans, and then all of a sudden you don't like Mexicans as you're an adult. So the same would apply going back to women for me. I've dated predominantly, like, to the mass majority, and I'm thinking to myself, how did all these women have blue eyes and I never even picked up on it? I'm 37 years old. I'm just figuring it out now that I picked all blue-eyed women. And it's like, I don't know what it is. And I'm trying to figure that out. But it's the same thing. It's like my mom who raised me had blue eyes. My biological mother has blue eyes. Do I have a softness for blue eyes naturally? So if we were to live in a deterministic world without free will, I would pick blue-eyed every fucking time. And there's nothing I could do about it in a deterministic world. I would have to pick a blue-eyed woman. And it's just weird to me that, like, literally, I'm still in shock that I'm thinking I picked all fucking blue-eyed women. It's throwing me for a fucking... Like, my brain is trying to wrap around this. Anyway, let's dive into more philosophy than my shock value. Because I don't think that matters to you guys. So, we have noticed, without free will, or we've determined without free will, if it is determinism, I would have to go with the blue-eyed woman every time. And if it was determinism, let's say in this other reality that my mom who raised me was a piece of shit, I had a terrible experience, she traumatized me as a kid, I would probably pick then a woman that did not at all resemble my mother, right? Didn't have blue eyes, didn't have those features, whether, like, for example, let's say my mother beat me and she had a certain aura and frequency and whatever, right? I would avoid that at all costs, and I would pick something perhaps the exact opposite of that, right? To avoid that. And that would be deterministic and not free will. So I do believe there's genetic and environmental factors that play a huge role in who you choose as a mate. Now, of course, you add on that free will to that equation. But the huge factor is, now, you could be like, dude, Opex, I'm a dude. I have never been, like, picky with women. It's like, I don't care what race, eye color, whatever. I'm the same way. Never been picky about that shit. Never even thought about it too in depth. And I think about everything too in depth. But I encourage you, find out who you are choosing as a mate. Who you're choosing, because yes, women are the ultimate choosers of the relationship. The ultimate ones. Us guys will tag along for anyone. You know, it doesn't matter what color you are, how tall you are. We don't give a fuck. We don't give a fuck. It's women we're all picky and choosy. So it's not me choosing consciously for blue-eyed women. It just seems to be the pattern. And I want to dive into other aspects of that. So look into your own life, see who you're choosing as a mate. You may come to a realization like I have, and I've learned this in the past that men do this, and I never seen real evidence of it in my life until today when I'm thinking about it like that. But there's this idea that men choose a partner similar to their mother. Your mother's fat, you're going to choose a fatter mate. Your mother's skinny, you'll choose a skinnier mate. Your mother has the same eye color as you, you choose that eye color. And it's natural, it's in us, it's default. Yes, you're choosing someone like your mother. Weird, right? And it's a default mechanism inside of us to do this. Women do this if they have a good father. They'll choose someone like their good father. And that trend is a thing as well. But yeah, it's fucking weird that we look for someone very similar. Okay, hold on. I didn't know there was a smudge on my eyebrow here. I gotta look good for the camera. Like I care. Anyway. Let me have a sip of coffee and we'll get a little further into this. So, Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay, once said, basically, Cardinals will go with Cardinals, Blue Jays will go with Blue Jays. They're all bird. They're not out to predicate or to be a predator-prey relationship to each other. They're literally just in competition for resources. They're not even fucking the same birds, so they're not battling each other, competing each other for mates. But you'll see that Cardinals will go with Cardinals, Blue Jays will go with Blue Jays. And that would apply all around nature. Now, the difference would be if they were brought up together. So let's say, we'll get off birds because I don't really know the dynamics of that, but we'll go with dogs. If I had dogs as puppies, and there were different breeds of dogs, they're all dogs, but they're different breeds, they're different shapes and sizes, and you know, there's pit bulls and chihuahuas and Dalmatians, and they would all get along as they grew up. They would all become friends. They would all find out that they're part of the tribe. All right. But if they were all different and then they grew up, so there were, the pit bulls were with the pit bulls, and then they had the pit bull clan. Then they had the Chihuahua clan, the Dalmatian clan, tribe, whatever you want to call it. If you had them separate, when they got older, they would fight against each other and look at each other as separate. Same would go with humans. Again, Chinese, you see Chinese people, and that slight difference, that's a Korean. It becomes, whoa, different. Vietnamese, different. They're all Asian, but they're different. So if you grew up all Chinese people, only know Chinese people, all speak Chinese, and Korean comes around, you're going to feel a certain way about it, naturally. No one needs to call you a racist or anything like that. It's just natural to be feeling that way. I mean, there are people that scream racist at the top of their lungs. I don't know why. They don't go anywhere with it. But anyway. So, the same would apply with people, animals. It's just we find something different. It could be something similar to how you look, but different features. Similar, but different. And it can still throw you way off. Where was I exactly going with that? Alright, so my point with that was essentially that things can be different. Things can change. Things can, you can grow up a certain way and then things change and then you're against it, right? This could be ideologies, this could be people, this could be culture, which is ideas, essentially. Give me a second. And it's a natural thing is what I was trying to get at. It's natural to feel this way. Not feeling like hatred towards this person, but we're living, especially in America, with the multiculturalism, as inclusive. You got to include everyone, accept everyone's culture. And I like multiculturalism. I don't like monoculturalism. If the whole world loses its culture, we all turn into one gray area, alien physique. We're all one mono physique. I wouldn't like that. I believe in the differences. I think we should preserve is the word. We should preserve culture. This culture could be thousands of years old. It could be anywhere in the country. We should preserve culture. I also believe we should preserve race. Now, we all know there are races that were on this planet that are no longer here. They were either killed to extermination or they were bred out of them, right? Like Mayans, right? There's no Mayan from 2,000 years ago today. They're interbred with the Spanish, right? We can all understand that. So there's no Mayan today. And that sucks. We lost their culture, we lost their race. I think that's kind of shitty. I think it's very important to preserve these things. And I think naturally, naturally you can go either way, but tribally, we want to destroy others and we are the dominant ones. This is the tribal idea. This is, I want my family and community to survive. Let's say you're in Native America and all of a sudden, you know, you're battling 13 tribes in your geographic area, and everyone has slightly different culture, slightly different genetics, but it's enough to make you want to kill them and survive and defend your family and your tribe and preserve your culture. And I believe that little difference in culture is a great thing. I think if all of the Native Americans were just inclusive and peaceful and there's just one culture, that would kind of suck. Now imagine the whole world just becoming one culture, one race, if you will. That's ugly. There's no genetic differences. There's no fetishes anymore. There's no, this race is faster than this race. You know, like, everyone's just going to be in a cesspool, and this is where it's essentially headed. It's essentially headed towards monoculturalism. They want to scream multiculturalism, but what you're actually doing is you're clashing these things. And of course, I believe in multiculturalism, and it doesn't have to be separate, but what we're doing is we're creating in a futuristic world where we're interbreeding, we're losing the previous past of our culture, and it's headed down a road where everyone's going to be like-minded, similar IQs, similar attractiveness, similar everything. And I don't like that. Naturally, again, we would be fighting each other. Or, okay, give me a second here. There's a semi-truck tipped over right in front of me. Shame on the mess. Oh no, it's not a semi, it's a budget truck. Damn. Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. That's why you pay attention on the road. A lot of people think I'm not paying attention because I'm talking. I'm talking in a video, guys, so I'm not paying attention. Get this guy fired. He's talking. Anyway. Alright, so I basically am saying I want to preserve all races. So I am 100% for you finding someone in your own race. Now, if you find someone outside your race, that's fine too. But if everyone does it, it's going to ruin the culture. When you have, okay, let's go with a common one. the black guy, the white girl, right? You're losing the culture of both. You're losing the black culture, you're losing the white culture in a generation. And you're creating your own culture, which is a mix of that, which is fine. New culture's awesome too. But when you have two Mexicans, which is the general gist, of course there are white guys and Mexican girls, and there's mixes everywhere. In every race there's mixes, right? Bill Burr has a black wife, whatever. The point is, let's just say there's two Mexicans and they're interbreeding. They're keeping their culture, they're enhancing their culture, they're preserving their culture, and they are raising their children generally together. Because what happens when you're the same culture, same ethnicity? You probably have around the same IQ. Same IQ means that you are more susceptible to success raising children and staying together. This works if you're same IQ, high IQ, same IQ, low IQ. You're able to talk with each other, communicate better, and stay together longer, which means that you're going to both raise your children with the same ideology, the same way. So there is no interference in how you're raising your children. This preserves and strengthens your genetics, your future generations, and makes you a better person, in my opinion, for doing so. Again, if you want to interbreed outside your race, understand there's IQ in play. You may be higher or lower IQ than your spouse, and this works with your same race, obviously. But I believe the people that are doing it outside their race are generally same IQ as well. So to find someone around your similar IQ, same culture, same genetics, will actually strengthen how you raise your children. Now, let's figure this out, right? Do you think that when you are raising children with the same genetics, same culture, same IQ, when you're raising children like that, are you more successful or not successful? Think about it. Think about it in Mexicans and Asians and black people and white people. Think about it. And then think, when you are more diverse, you're changing your culture, you're breeding outside your race, you're breeding outside your IQ. How likely are you going to stay together and raise children under the same ideological preferences or circumstances? One might be like it's totally okay to go outside and play, and then one might be like it's totally okay to stay inside all day. And those should clash. But when you're both Indian, with Indian culture, same IQ, you're probably going to raise your child much better, be more successful. You'll both be around for your children. And when you're, and I'm not saying this to be rude, I'm just trying to give you reason and evidence. I'm trying to give you philosophy. Again, I'm okay with multiculturalism. I know there's people out there that's Asian man, offspring with a white woman, like the whole Bruce Lee thing where he had a child that was half white. Yeah, that kid's not going to look like you. How does that affect your bond with your child? Naturally. Now you can say, I love my child, this is my child, I think my child's beautiful, etc. But there is less connectedness when you're looking at your child and they don't have your same blue eyes. They don't have your same features. Look, again, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just giving you information. Did you know that when you bring a certain race into an area, let's say, okay, let's go America. The inner cities of America were all white 100 years ago. And then, about 100 years ago, other races started going and implementing into the inner cities. Now, were there black people in the north in America in the late 1800s? Some of them were in the inner cities? Yeah. Yes. But the mass majority was white in the inner cities of America. It doesn't matter what inner city, major city you were in. Even New York City, primarily white. Then a group of people come in, black people. You can name any people, but that's the main one, right? That would come into the inner cities, and it pushed out the whites. Now, the mass majority of the whites didn't go, oh my God, black people are coming in, I need to leave. That's what it seems like looking back and saying, well, white people left. Why did they leave? They must have all hated black people. That's not the case. Were there some like that? Sure, obviously. But the mass majority of them left because it was a separation in culture. It was a separation in ideology. It was more competition for different types of jobs. You see it today. The mass amount of people that live in America today don't want their jobs stolen from them. So we all know Mexicans work harder than white people on average. So if you have a white roofing company, you're charging more. You're working less. More cigarette breaks. More people that are involved in the job, so you're paying more people. And everyone's getting paid more than the Mexicans. Mexicans go in there with, okay, you had that crew of 8 people, and it takes you 2 weeks to do this one roofing job. Well, this group of roofers, this 4-man group of Mexicans, can do it in 6 days. And for less money. Who are you going to hire? Well, you're going to hire the Mexicans if you know anything. I mean, when I go out to a Chinese food restaurant, do I want to go to... I don't want to go to Panda Express. Now, because they're paying those people more and it's less authentic. But when I go to a real Mexican restaurant, or Chinese restaurant, I want Chinese people. I want the whole thing. I want the culture. I want the authenticity. And now, of course, the food's Chinese American, but you catch my drift. It's authentic Chinese American. It's cheaper. I get more. So I'm going to go for that. That's why I want to preserve multiculturalism, different cultures. I want to preserve Chinese Americans. I don't want them to interbreed, cultivate. I don't care about that. I don't want that. I want Mexicans who want to work. And I want to go to them instead of the white person. I want to go to the Chinese restaurant instead of the white person. I want to go to a real Italian restaurant and have real Italian lasagna or ravioli or whatever than some person coming up with a recipe and making it for me. Right? So I want to preserve race because I don't want any races dying out. In fact, that's the ultimate not racist because I want you here. I like that black people can play basketball better than Mexicans or me, right? So I'm somebody who goes to the basketball court, and a lot of times, if a white person wants to play basketball with me, I say no. You want to know why? Because I don't want to show them up. I don't want to have a boring time. I'd rather play with the black guys. So I would much rather be more competitive with the black guys playing basketball, and I enjoy playing basketball with black people. I've enjoyed it my whole life. It makes me raise a level, and I have more fun doing so. But I don't want to take a black person hunting, you know, because again, why would I do that? I will just ruin my time. It's the same reason I don't want to play basketball with a white person. It'll just waste my time. It's just like I could be doing something else with my time. You catch my drift? I love that there are black people, that there are Mexican people, that there are Asian people, that people preserve their culture. I think Japanese culture is amazing. I think Indian culture is amazing. I think all different types of cultures are amazing in their own way. And we can even dive into religion if you want, or politics if you want, but I don't give a fuck about either of those two. So what am I getting at here? I'm getting that I, who have chosen blue-eyed women my whole life, not even realizing it, because I don't go, I'm looking for a blue-eyed woman. Never done it. Never been like, I have a choice between a blue-eyed and a brown-eyed. That's my choice. Never done it. But I did notice how men usually pick their mother if they have a good relationship with their mother. They usually pick someone like their mother. Weird, right? If you didn't have a good relationship with your mother, you're going to pick someone completely opposite. That's the general gist, right? And if races stay together, instead of, intermingling the races, like whatever race, if they were the same race, it's more probable, more likely that you're going to have success raising children, success in your marriage. And there's, again, 3 main factors: IQ, culture, race. I think in that perspective, in that ratio, I think you're more likely to get along with each other and be successful with IQ. A secondary would be your culture, so same politics, same ideologies, religion, whatever. And then 3, I think that your race plays a factor. Your kid looks like you, talks like you, etc., right? I think that's important. And I think it's okay to have white people are so scared to be called racist. I feel like I'm one of them people right now, just giving you real information. But I don't have to defend myself. I think a lot of people already know that I like all the races, and I want to preserve all the races. And I think it's totally okay with a Chinese man going after a Chinese woman. In fact, I think it's better for the future of the planet. Hopefully I made my case in this. Naturally we do this, and we fight against it when we believe in multiculturalism as a cesspool instead of a separate commodity, a separate beauty, a separate art. I don't want I don't want us all to merge culturally. I don't want us all to merge, like, we all have the same eyes, we all have the same color skin, we all have the same hair, we all have the same... I don't want that. And I think by being in your own race preserves that we're not all going to be the same fucking thing. And I know there's a very small minority that want us all to be gray aliens one day, you know, but I'm not one of them. I want us to preserve race. I want us to preserve culture. I don't want us to book burn or censor or hate. I don't want any of that. I want us all to get along. And I don't believe that all having the same like mind is a betterment. I think it's a disaster. I think it's a curse. I think just that America's become a little bit of a cesspool is a little bit of a curse. But I think it's also the initial beauty of it. That we're all so different. Everyone has their skills, their abilities, what they're good at, what they're bad at. And I think that's awesome. I don't believe in there's a superior race. I think there's superior genetics to certain things. Asians are generally higher IQ, less apt to fight you and be violent for little to no reason, which is obviously the downfall for black people. Black people are generally lower IQ, more apt to be violent and destructive. But there's also really great things about black people, and we already know about their athletics, their in their culture that they come from. I want to preserve Nigerian, Rwandan, people from Rwanda. What's that? Rwandan? I'm making up words here, but my point is, different countries, different cultures is beautiful. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, but I see the beauty in preserving your own race. I think that a lot of people claim that they have this pride, right? And I would figure about a quarter of those people that claim they have Mexican pride or whatever pride that they come from, about a quarter of them aren't trying to preserve their race. And I do believe that majority of them want to preserve culture and race and the future of their offspring. But we're in a cesspool now. You see in ads all the time, the Asian person, the white person, it's all inclusive. When you're, for example, when I worked at Home Depot, this fucking corporate gig had to hire people that weren't qualified just because of their race. Well, we don't have a black person in the group. We gotta hire a black person. It doesn't matter if they even work. It doesn't matter anything. We gotta hire them to be inclusive. It's part of the team. Why don't you hire the right person? Again, the roofing team shouldn't be a black person, white person, Asian person, Indian person. It should be all Mexicans. They're the best. Right? So, I don't know. My point is, each culture has its advantages and disadvantages. And when we lose that, we lose humanity. We lose diversity. And I want to preserve all of that. I think it's better for success in raising your children. I believe it's better for the world, the future. I think it's better for humanity. I believe that I like the fact that there's thousands of dog breeds out there. Thousands of them. And then you can add mutts into them. I like that. But please don't... Whoa, almost hit a turtle. But don't interbreed dogs to the point where there's no more bulldogs. There's no more pits. There's no more Rots. There's no more Chihuahuas or whatever breed, right? We should be breeding them to be in their breed, purebreds. Why do you think purebreds are stronger? Oh shit, we're 45 minutes into this video. I can talk about it now. Almost no one fucking has this still going. But purebreds are stronger. That's why when you intermingle even people, they become weaker. They lose that greatness. Oh, he's saying it. Yeah, when a Chinese and a white come together, they're not as high IQ anymore. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. He's said it. He's racist. Kill him. Burn him at the stake. But it's the truth. It has to be said. Intermingle whoever with whoever. You're losing the greatness that they had, and you're making them more average. You don't want everyone to look like a gray alien and all have the same ideologies and the same IQ. That's terrible. So, naturally, we preserve these things. Anyway, this has been a very long video. I want to say thank you guys for subscribing, staying, if you watch this to the end, thank you so much. I need people like you on my channel because my channel is being totally destroyed right now. It's been this way for a while. My channel went like, boom, 2,000 subscribers in like 8 months of me having the channel, or less. I had 2,000 subscribers back in 2015, 2016, and it's been declining since then, since the algorithm picked up that I'm thinking for myself. Can't get that out to the public. So stay tuned for plenty of content. I'm still going to make content at least for the next 5 or 6 months, and then I'm going to change my content creation to less YouTube and more something else. But for now, it's OPEX. Hopefully you guys got something out of this video, and I hope that you guys can have better, more enjoyable, prosperous, successful lives. That's the goal of this video. Become more successful, figuring out through thought how to get there. And if you disagree with anything, comments down below. I'm open to it. I enable all comments to be read. It's OPEX, guys. I'm out. See you guys.